Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chase with Jace. And unfortunately, I'm gonna get to work for Andy Bryson, and gets me with a couple of connections. So it's growing. We started with Marcus Randall hosting the show with me. Then we had Ron Brooks the other week, and I got another Tiger legend with me right here, and that's Gabe Northern. He was an absolute beast, a dog for the LSU Tigers in the mid 1990s, and under Jerry DiNardo. We're going to talk about that, and then also we're going to talk about his football as well. But first of all, Gabe, I really appreciate you coming on the show and
Yeah, man.
coming with me here today.
I'm happy to be here. It's my pleasure to be able to come back and, especially kind of fill in for such superstar guys that may be supposed to be here. Marcus Randall's a little brother of mine. He's been a little brother of mine since like forever because his brother Eric,
Right.
we went to kindergarten together, so he's been
Hmm.
my little brother. And then Ron Brooks, he's my Biger brother.
Okay.
What a Biger brother is, that means you play for Buffalo and LSU. So
That's
you're,
right.
you're half Buffalo and half Tiger. So
Okay.
he's my Biger brother. So I used to always go up there and, matter of fact, I think I helped him get a couple of sacks because I told Rex Ryan, I'm like, look here, bro. Like you got Ron Brooks, like send him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's my guy, man. Ron Brooks, if you're watching, bro, much love to you, man.
Well, absolutely love Ron, and he's doing a good job. He's actually helping a lot of the kids now. He
Yeah,
goes and trains a lot of kids, future DBs.
yeah,
So
that's good,
he
man.
does a great job of giving back to the community. I know you do a lot of that as well, Gabe. But yeah, I mean, so far this year, LSU, this is the second year for Brian Kelly. Uh, Won 10 games last year. A lot of just really blew expectations out the door last year. Went to the SEC championship game, and so you're kind of looking back to year two or going towards year two, and you're thinking, oh, the natural progression after that is maybe SEC championship,
Yeah,
college football playoff. But right now, the offense is certainly at a national championship level this year. But I know you'd hate to hear about this year, but the defense has really been struggling this year on that side of the football. I know you haven't been able to catch every LSU game this year, but based on what you're able to see, what sticks out to you about some of those struggles the defensive side of the football has had this year?
well, for me, my goal was to get the ball. My goal was to get the ball and either put it in the end zone or
Hmm.
give it back to my offense. And our offense was weak back then, so it's really let's get this ball back and score it. That
Hmm.
was my goal. That was my sack, forced fumbles, and all that. That was to do that. And you have to take it upon yourself every snap to do your best. You got to give your best effort from start to finish of each play, and that's what I don't see from LSU football right now. And it seems like it's just a little small thing that they can fix. It's an attitude thing. It's an effort thing, and if they can clear that up, the defense will match the offense.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about your days. I got some old pictures thrown out to the screen. Big
Aha! I
'88.
remember that game like yesterday. I got a bad memory, but I remember that game. They messed with my sister that day before the game.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you want to?
It was
So
story time.
so here's what. So they one a reporter asked me the week of the game,
Hmm.
"Do you think you can stop Florida?" What am I gonna say? No, you can't stop
Right.
them. I'm like, if anybody can stop them, it's me and my guy.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so, man, they were chomping me. They was going Northern, Northern. My sister wears her '88 jersey to the
Uh-huh.
game, walking around Gainesville, and they mess with baby girl.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh
buddy.
boy.
Long story short, I was SEC Player of the Week, even though we
Yep.
lost. Two sacks, throwing the quarterback down. One of my best plays in my life. I knocked the quarterback down and then ran down the screen right behind.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm trying to get the ball, man.
Hmm.
And I'm saying it's like that type of attitude. It's like I use what happened to baby sister as my motivation.
Hmm.
I think these guys need to find some motivation to be great.
Yeah.
You have a chance to be great at LSU. I wasn't a 5-star guy.
Hmm.
Came in with a lot of parade All Americans, and
Hmm.
I wasn't going to be the weak. So I had to step my game up to be on that level. And by the time the smoke settled and we got a little bit up in age, I was the guy.
Yeah. You
So
are. I mean, just look at the numbers. I mean, you actually left at LSU as the all-time sack leader at LSU. You're a back-to-back all SEC performer back in 1994 and 1995. 121 tackles, over 43 sacks. You said your junior season set a single season record with 11 sacks. Just what just made you so dominant off the edge? Just what
Speed,
speed?
simply speed. Like I see Perkins,
Uh-huh.
and when last year he was wearing number 40,
Right.
he reminded me of myself with a mixture of David Butler. You may not
Okay.
remember David Butler, but he was like the fastest dude on the team, and
Hmm.
he used to average like 40 yards every kick return.
Okay.
He was that bad, and just to have that combination of speed, strength, power, and gamemanship, I really liked the way he played. Now, what happened to me, same thing. Going into my senior year, I was moved from outside linebacker in a 3-4 to Mike back in a 4-3. Changed things up for me. But one thing about this kid that you got to admire, he said, "Yes, sir, coach. Whatever you need me to do, yes, sir, coach. Please learn this, kids, if you're watching this
Hmm.
thing. Yes, sir, coach." Will get you a lot farther than, "Hey, man, why you want me to do that?"
Hmm. Right. Yeah, it comes a long way, right? Just be coachable and show the coaches that you're able to learn. They're going to even put you on the field even quicker than
Because
that.
eventually he may move back to his spot, which I did. Move
Hmm.
back to defensive end when we changed back to another scheme, and that's how I earned my status as a LSU Tiger.
And I'm sure because I know you bounced around. What was it, outside linebacker? I know you played with defensive end
Mm-hmm.
at one point,
Outside linebacker, Mike
Mike
Backer,
linebacker.
defensive end.
So that actually helps you as a football player overall to get to learn a lot of those different positions and being moved around there. So, what was just back at LSU when you had to change positions like that? What was your mindset when you had to change positions?
Listen to my coach, do what my coach says to do, read my keys, use my technique, and of course, use my speed.
Yeah, and we're going to show a lot of your speed later on in the show with some of your clips with the Buffalo Bills scoring some touchdowns, and we're going to definitely show some of those clips later on in the show. But actually, what also helped too, I'm sure you played on the offense side of football. You were a tight end
Tight end.
at Glen Oaks,
Yeah.
so and we were talking about being a parade All-American and having so much success under Coach Gill, and really Glen Oaks was really rolling at
Yeah.
that point in
Yeah.
the '90s. So what was that like playing on those great Glen Oaks teams and
So,
playing both sides of
so
football?
I'll give you a little bit of backstory. I transferred to Glen my junior year in high school and coming from Southern Lab. And Glen Oaks was not doing all that well at the time. They actually used to call Glen Oaks the Pink Panthers. They used to play the Pink Panther music on the news channel.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, why can't they win any games? Because like I know all these boys on the team. So what happened is we had a little administration, coaching staff issues at Southern Lab. We ended up leaving the school. But myself, my brother, and a few other guys took the Southern Lab championship mentality to Glen Oaks and meshed it with all these good guys and the coaches, Coach Gill, Coach Brian Ensminger, Mike Roach, Frank Pitch from the Kansas City Chiefs was
Hmm.
there. We had a lot of good coaches. Coach Richardson was there. And man, we put together a good team led by Eric Randall,
Hmm.
Coach Landry Williams.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good guys. My brother, who was also high school, like a lot of guys became coaches off of those teams.
Hmm.
So what that means is you got a lot of guys who can think the game.
Right.
And once we added it all together, a little attitude with some natural ballers just from that area, we were able to do some magical things.
And that was a thing too with like a lot of high school programs now in East Baton Rouge, right? You're talking about Broadmoor and Capital and Baker, Glen Oaks. I know they may be down now, but a lot of people got to realize like back in the '90s, like they were powers
Yeah.
each and every single week.
It was a fight every week. And here's what I would challenge fans of Baton Rouge football, Baton Rouge area football to do. And man, give some money back to some of these programs.
Hmm.
A lot of these schools that you mentioned, and not to offend anyone or get canceled,
Hmm. Yeah.
but Glen Oaks, Baker, Broadmoor, Bel Air, Lestruma.
Hmm.
These were back in those days considered white schools.
Hmm.
All right.
Hmm.
So look, if you went to those schools, no matter it was 1920 or 1980 or 2000, give back to your school.
Hmm.
But that's the like I live in Texas now. That's a big difference between Texas ball and Louisiana ball. They reinvest in their kids, and I don't think we do that well enough here.
Hmm.
You look at certain stadiums and certain facilities. Man, look, if we want championship football in Louisiana, if we want LSU football to be good, consistently. We can start it across the board on the youth levels and on the high school levels.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just plain and simple. It's coming out. Start it off at the bottom and then raise it up. Start planting seeds now. Look at what Sid Edwards is doing at the show.
Yeah.
The people who from way, way back and people who knew Sid from when he was coaching at other schools, they're helping him out. Like, why does it take that?
Mm-hmm.
Or if that's the let's change the question.
Mm-hmm.
What does it take? What
Right.
does it take to get some reinvestment to these sports programs? And if somebody's out there willing to let me know, hey, I'm all in 100%.
Yeah, it's as easy as that because at the end of the day, you need, I mean, football is an expensive sport. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. So you need that backing with just alumni and
Mm-hmm.
former players, former students, like people that were involved that continue to stay involved and
Yeah,
grow those communities.
like for me, one of the things, man, that kind of put me in a tough spot financially was that when I had something, I gave something. I didn't wait until I had it all to start giving.
Hmm.
Like, and I think that's what has led to my success now.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And just also kind of going back and forth to with this as well. Going back to your LSU days,
Mm-hmm.
right? Talk about that part of it because it wasn't at the time. It wasn't like it was LSU now. It wasn't like
Yeah.
LSU with national championships and all like the big NIL stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't anything like that at all
Ooh,
back
I
then.
need my retroactive NILs.
No.
I think about it sometimes, because we were so awful at the time
Hmm.
that I would have got the most money.
Yeah.
So if anybody's out there that still want to retroactive NIL me, let's do that.
Like,
Call Jace.
there we go. We'll set it
But
up.
it's like we had good guys, man. We just couldn't put it together.
Hmm.
We just couldn't put it together. We couldn't get it over the hump. It was always right there, except for freshman year. The
Hmm.
4 and 7 year, the 5 and 7 year, a couple of different, fumbles or, just bounce of the ball,
Hmm.
we get playoff. I mean, we get
Right.
bowl games back
Hmm.
then.
Right.
And then senior year, man, wow. We finally made it to a bowl game, but I still believe that we had the talent
Hmm.
to go to Fiesta Bowl, Cotton Bowl way back then.
Yeah.
It was just, man, it was some things above our head that, like, man, we wasn't going to win with the coaching staff we had, plain and
Hmm.
simple. Hey,
Yeah.
look, I'll tell you something, plain and simple, we wasn't going to win with those dudes.
Hmm. Yeah. And there was a transition, right? I mean, just because early on you had, I think, like Curly Holman, and
Yeah,
they've struggled to win a lot of
yeah,
games, and then you had that transition to DiNardo,
yeah,
and then it wasn't until when Saban really took it over,
yeah.
and that's when it really started growing to what LSU really is today.
In a crazy kind of way, because we were 6-4-1 that senior year,
Hmm.
that helped LSU.
Yeah.
Because what we did was we went up against Nick Saban.
Hmm.
And he said, man, if I had those dudes
Hmm.
and I had that speed, I can do some things.
Hmm.
And
That's true.
so we showed him the formula. He came down here and then he showed us what he could. He lived up to his promise.
And that's not what a lot of people realize is that y'all played against Nick Saban, because he started his college career. I mean, as far as like his first big break in college level was Michigan State
Yeah,
before going to LSU,
yeah,
and y'all faced him before
yeah.
for all this.
And fortunately for me, with Nick Saban being the disciplinarian that he is, he benched the starting left tackle
Hmm.
the week of the
Oh,
game.
okay.
And man, I was like this whole week. I'm like, man, the dude,
Foaming up, just salivating
like,
about the
well,
situation.
it happened like when we were in Shreveport. He went out and got in some trouble.
Oh, okay.
So, but the whole week I'm knowing, man, I got to go against this dude. He's like 6'5", 330. He bigger than Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't let him touch me.
Hmm.
And so, man, it was just like I was in the matrix in that game.
Hmm.
And oh man, wow, DiNardo did something to me.
Hmm.
He like reverse motivated me to pick up that game.
Okay.
And I was like, man, let's go get. No, it was actually the Arkansas game before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up because of DiNardo though. I was player of the week against Arkansas,
Hmm.
player of the week against Michigan State, defensive MVP for my
Yeah, you were
team
the Independence Bowl MVP,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I forgot that part.
Yeah.
MVP of the Independence Bowl and then defensive MVP at the Senior Bowl. And it
Right.
was because a big part of it was because he told me that I was worthless to LSU football in
Wow.
front of everybody from about 50 yards away. And he used different vernacular.
Yeah, I don't know what if he needed some 2020 vision or something like that because I don't know what he's thinking if you're saying it. But in a way, it motivated you.
It did.
Hmm.
It did. And in a way, I have to thank him and I have to thank Saban for Donardo for motivating me, Saban for taking that guy out,
Hmm.
and so I'm going against a redshirt freshman for the first half. Come to later on, that guy ended up signing with Buffalo, and he
Okay.
was like, "Man, do you remember that
Yeah.
game?" Of course, I remember that game, and he was like, "I'll never forget it too."
So shout out to Nick Saban for
Yeah, shout out to Nick Saban, man. Look, I'll eat some cheese.
that's a great story, Gabe. Really is. So any games? I know you talked about Florida earlier. You talked about all those matchups. I mean, the game you had against Arkansas, the game you had against Michigan State. Any game, I guess, or is just like the first thing that comes to mind from your LSU career, or just first thing that you think of when you talk about your LSU career? What was your favorite memory? Just like your
Man,
whole
look,
playing days.
you see it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you what I just thought about. My first time running out of tunnel.
Mm.
Holy
That's what
whoa!
that's what everybody talks about.
Like man, like it's still doing it.
Hmm. Chill. Oh, I see it. I mean, I'm not sure you're going to see it on the camera, but I mean, you can see the
Like, come on,
chills.
man.
I mean,
I
the
shouldn't be.
goosebumps.
That's 30 years ago. How am I
Yeah,
still getting that?
yeah. That's unbelievable. I mean, he's getting
Like,
goosebumps
come
right
on, man.
now.
Go down. Like, go down. Cut it out.
That's amazing. Like, and
Running out
that's
that.
a lot of Tigers talk about that.
Hey,
It's the first
man.
thing they
I'm
talk about
telling you, like, seriously, they should probably charge people 1,000 to just dress up and wear the gear and just see what it feel like.
with 100,000 in the stadium.
Man, like, I can't believe. Like I've only been tailgating at a few games. I
Hmm.
can't believe the atmosphere before the games. It
Hmm.
wasn't like that when I was playing.
Yeah,
So
obviously less people then.
so just to see what it's like before the game is phenomenal. I can't imagine what it'd be like to run out with those boys, 100 something thousand, going nuts.
Hmm.
I might pass out.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm fortunate just to be on the sidelines when they run out before for media, and I get goosebumps. I'm not even suiting up, so
Yeah,
so I can't imagine what it's like for y'all
man.
to run out.
So look, I had this thing where my grandmother sat in the south end zone,
Okay.
and my mother would sit in the south end zone. This is the reason. If it wasn't for this lady, I don't go to LSU. She took me to my first LSU
Hmm.
game. I still remember it was Miami Ohio game. She took me to Wiener Schnitzel after on what.
No, it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my LSU experience. And after that experience, I knew I wasn't going to LSU because
Hmm.
it rained and they lost.
Hmm.
All right. This lady convinced me to go to LSU and my family, we all gung ho at a certain point. So what I used to do is I used to run from, I touch the bar and run all the way to the south end zone and say hey to my mom and my grandmother. After the first game that I did that my senior, Donardo told me to stop doing it. Like I used to run down there, dap up all the kids there. I'm
Yeah.
88, I'm the dude.
And they do this. They do this now. I mean, like the players do this. They run to the south
He
end
told me to
zone.
stop doing it. I'm like, why, coach? Wasting energy.
Wow.
Feels like to me that I'm creating
Yeah.
energy.
Right. Right. It's the opposite
Oh, you're
effect.
wasting energy. Bro, I was all SEC last year. I did the
Hmm.
same thing last year.
Hmm. Yeah, right. It didn't affect you then.
Man, what the?
When you had 11 sacks in your junior season, so I wouldn't say it affected you there.
And only 9 my senior year
Hmm.
until we went to the bowl game. But they
Hmm.
weren't really recording those stats.
Yeah, because it
Man,
was
look,
still kind of a new
it was a new thing.
stat. Yeah.
So going into that year, you got me on this end, you got James Gilliard on this end, and we both had decent junior years. My junior year was better than his, but we worked out that summer,
Hmm.
that off season, to be the best defensive end tandem in the nation.
Hmm.
We had some competition with Simeon Rice and Kevin Hardy up
Oh
there.
yeah,
We
yeah,
had Brady Smith and Sean Moran at Colorado State. I ended up playing with Sean Moran. That's
yeah.
how I remember this. And yeah, me and Gilliard, we were supposed to be the dudes. And he was 245 maybe. I was like 240 maybe on my weigh-in days. And DiNardo and Coach Reese came in with this scheme where we had to slant inside. It was this 30 package. They'd send out Booger McFarland, bring in Greg Hill, and we do this inside slant blitz scheme
Hmm.
every third down. So the only way I could get a sack was on first and second down. And I just like I don't even know. Like, what are we doing?
Hmm.
Like you taking the two of the best edge rushers in the nation
Hmm.
and making them slant inside. Dude, we're going against
Yeah.
Mississippi State.
Right.
Their guards weigh 350,
Right.
and you want me to, and the tackles 320,
Hmm.
and you want me at 240 to get to slide them in. Bro, these dudes benching 500.
Uh-huh.
They squatting 600.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
get through them 240.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't
Yeah. So
it?
so to we kind of had to figure out a way to win in spite of what was going on.
And y'all have the guys on the inside because you mentioned Booger McFarland, you mentioned those guys. Like the defensive front, what can you say about that group? Because a lot of people, I mean, tend to forget what defense y'all really had
Yeah.
back in those days.
Chuck Wiley went pro.
Yeah.
Booger McFarland went pro. Gilliard got a shot. I went pro. Uh, unfortunately, DiNardo ran off these cats, Pete Ballas and David Carmona.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes it was some bad boys. They
Mm-hmm.
were a little bit undersized, but man, they were my favorite when it come to pressing the pocket
Mm-hmm.
because these dudes was feisty on the inside, and the quarterback couldn't step up with this other scheme and other people in there. You step up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Long story short.
Exactly. Exactly. And I was going to ask you, you pretty much already answered the question already because you talked about really your grandmother was a big reason why you came to LSU,
Yeah,
but at the time it wasn't like the popular thing to go to
not at
LSU.
all, man. I was headed to Miami. They had just won a championship, and I went on a visit with another guy that I played ball against in high school, Carlos Jones from Shaw,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a great visit. And this is around the time when Luke Skywalker and the Two Live Crew was out,
Mm-hmm.
and I met Luke Skywalker on my visit. I'm 17 years old. I got a high top fade, and I meet Luke Skywalker, and he pulled me to the side. He said, "Look here, man. I know you're from Louisiana, but if you want to win championships, you come here, man." And I'm like, wow, man, I just met Luke Skywalker. And went back home. Like, really, I called my dad from Coach Erickson's office
Mm-hmm.
to commit. He told me that I couldn't.
Hmm. Okay.
So later on, I went on my visit to LSU. And long story short, man, it was the dudes. The dudes that I met on my visit to LSU. My host was Jason Smothers. We rode around with Tony Cole. Met all the guys on the team. And they just kept saying, "Look here, man, if you come here, we're gonna win." I'm like, "But y'all sorry though.
Mm-hmm.
If you come here, we're gonna win." I mean, and like every time, they introduce me to another player on the team. If you come here, we're gonna win.
And that was big because at the time, like you mentioned, uh, a lot of the Louisiana guys they went to Florida
Yeah.
or Florida State. I mean, Ward
Mm-hmm.
Dunn was another example
Exactly.
of
Guys
that.
were going to Nebraska,
Nebraska.
Colorado, and those teams were winning with Louisiana boys. And so, with my Louisiana pride, I wanted to stay. Coach Hallman convinced me that if you stay here, you can always come home. And that combined with the feel that I got from the players, it just it kind of made sense. I still wanted to go to Miami after all my visits,
Hmm.
but I mean, I wouldn't change a thing if I could do it all over again and end up where I am today.
And you were actually one of the few first couple big names. I mean, as far as like LSU back in the mid '90s when it started like turning around. as far as in-state guys that are staying in, like Kevin Falk was another
Mm-hmm.
big guy,
Big,
big name that decided to stay
big. Speaking of
in
him,
Louisiana.
speaking of him, that dude is way greater than most people out there might know.
Absolutely.
Like that guy, man, he brings guys together, and you can see why he was such an integral part of all those championships they won in New England.
Hmm.
You know, he might be the first third down back to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
And he's the only third down back in any team's Ring of Honor. Hey man, that dude shows love, man. When you go to his house or hang out with him at the tailgate or just sit with him talking, man, his knowledge of the game and just the way he presents himself and the way he welcomes everybody, man, you gotta win.
When Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are complimenting you as like the best players they've been a part of, that's saying a lot
Yeah,
by them too.
yeah, that's a lot, man. Um, and that just him making it to the College Football Hall of Fame. That's big. Like that was the turn. Him being at LSU was a huge turning point. And I'll tell you this, man, I didn't like him at first.
Okay.
The first time I met him, he was on his visit.
Uh-huh.
He was on his visit, and he had a Texas A&M 12-man shirt on. I'm like, man, who this dude think he is, man? I'm about to get with him.
Right.
You know what's crazy though?
Mm.
4 years before that, after I had a Miami jacket, and I went to LSU. It was a track meet, the indoor track
Hmm.
meet at LSU, and I'm big league, and I'm played northern from Glen
Hmm.
Oaks, and I went on a visit to Miami.
Hmm.
Might go to LSU, but I'm gonna wear this
Yeah.
Miami jacket
Hmm.
to the track meet at LSU to let them know. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I did the same thing. So sometimes you hate what you love. So I had to turn
Give you
around.
some leverage, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. He came and did his thing. So of course I'm not mad at him.
Yeah, it really set a whole new wave, and what you were able to do by staying at LSU, coming out like being a Louisiana guy, staying in place, set the stage for Kevin Falk to do it, set the stage for uh like Brady James to do it, and Marcus
Yeah,
Spears and Andrew Whitworth, all those guys.
yeah.
So it was a positive chain reaction.
But I tell you
Going
this,
on.
probably what I'm most proud of at that I feel like I accomplished at LSU was liberating South Baton Rouge and North Baton Rouge.
Hmm.
Because most people that look like me that live in North Baton Rouge either pulled for Southern or Graham, and the other ones who didn't pulled for probably Jackson State or somebody like that. There really wasn't too much love for the South Side coming. So all these folks that you see with these jerseys on and LSU stuff that wasn't wearing before,
Hmm.
you can kind of thank me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
say that. I don't say that but
Right. Right.
before there was nobody who really came from that side of town who made it good.
Hmm.
And then behind me comes Chuck Wiley. Kevin Franklin got a shot. Rashawn
Right.
Matthews he was Rashawn's from this side.
Right.
He went to
Right.
Christian Life. But Chuck Wiley from Southern Lab. Marcus Spears from Southern Lab.
Hmm.
It's just I feel like I was a catalyst when it comes to Baton Rouge guys being able to come here
Hmm.
and do well.
Yeah, and you see it now. Does it even give you more affirmation going back to LSU, going to games, seeing what LSU is now that you made the right
Man,
choice?
I feel proud. Like when I drive by that stadium and see that LSU and that Tiger Stadium, I almost feel like I helped put it together.
Hmm.
Like I know that deep down underneath that thing, I'm a part of that foundation. That's something that no can never be taken away.
And that's very special because you're a Louisiana guy, and you could have easily gone out of state, like you said, Miami, I mean
Yeah,
Florida, but they're already rolling.
yeah,
But people appreciate you more if you started that foundation and started something special.
exactly, man. I was able to come here and meet some of the best people that you ever could meet. Uh, you know, eat some of the best foods you can ever eat. Travel to some of the best places. Used to go stay at Gordy Rush place in Destin back in the day.
Okay.
So that was probably the closest to an NIL deal. But Gordy knew my roommate. Uh, and man, it's just when you think back to those relationships that you build, and also man, I was able to graduate. I was able to
Hmm.
graduate with honors,
Hmm.
and you know that's something that I really didn't
Yeah.
expect. And I was part of student government. I helped start a group called Men Against Violence. And just I was able to do so much because I went to LSU. My travels that I go on, I attribute a lot of that. I attribute a lot of me being able to fulfill my dreams now to going to LSU.
Yeah, you did a lot of great stuff, and I read the whole bio about it wasn't just football. It was that I saw 4.0 GPA. I
Yeah.
saw and it said, yeah, I saw that so in there. So I'm gonna give you some credit for that as well. But now let's talk about after your college career,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you've had a great career at LSU. What was like the NFL draft process like for
Mm, I was told that I was going to get drafted by Dallas in the first round,
you? Okay.
and they had just won a championship. I was
Hmm.
kind of like in the same situation as Miami LSU.
Yeah, right.
So Dallas said they was going to pick me. At least that's what my agent told me. And then because they had the last pick in the first round. So they dropped back into the second round, and I'm like, okay, I'm not first round, but they dropped back because they're gonna pick me in the second round.
Hmm.
They drafted another defensive end though, from McNeese, Kavika Pittman. Like we cool dudes, we still
Uh-huh.
boys, but like we kind of competed, and
Hmm.
he was bigger than me. They chose bigger
Hmm.
against speed, which
Right, right.
which is look, that's an NFL thing.
Hmm.
So I slipped down to 53. Buffalo picks me, and I'm like, literally.
Yeah, just
Because
yeah.
people ask you before the draft, hey man, who's gonna pick you? And I'm like, man,
Hmm.
I don't care, man. Just as long as I don't go to somewhere like Buffalo or Green Bay.
Oh.
You see what that hat say, right?
Yep,
You see
yep.
that hat? The Lord works in mysterious
Oh, it
ways.
does. He does.
Like, so I'm like, they call you, hey, look, you want to be a Buffalo Bill? I'm like, yeah, kinda.
At least they're in that four straight Super
Yeah,
Bowls. You're at least,
yeah.
you're going to play for, have a chance to play for another Super Bowl.
So, man, I got up there and I'd heard all these horror stories about how cutthroat the NFL was. You can't trust nobody. That, man. I get there and meet these linebackers up there, and it's like the coolest dudes ever.
Hmm.
Coolest dudes. Let me give a shout out to David White, Marlo Perry, Sam Rogers, Chris Spielman was in
Oh,
there,
yeah, yeah.
Bryce Pop was in there.
Hmm.
We had some good dudes in there. So they kind of brought me in because they were replacing Darryl Talley and Cornelius
Hmm.
Bennett.
Right.
And so, well, really, they drafted me to kind of replace
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah, right, right. And
And
NFL's all-time leading sack leader.
so Bruce was holding out at the time,
Hmm.
and when I got there, I really didn't get a chance to hang out with him, learn from him because he was holding out.
Yeah.
The next camp they moved me because I couldn't get big enough. They moved me to outside linebacker,
Hmm.
and that changed things for me. I was able to make several plays my rookie year, and that you could tell like all those Hall of Famers, Jim, Bruce Thurman, Tasker, Andre Reed, all those dudes, you could feel them welcome me in.
Yeah, you're involved. You're around some really, really good players, and we talk about those Buffalo Bills teams.
And it's a few more that might end up in the Hall of Fame. Reuben Brown's probably going to end up in there. You never know. Steve Tasker might get in
Yeah,
there
they say one of the best special teams players
of
of
all
all
time.
time. Yeah.
The guy who really took care of me and looked out for me most in my class, Eric Moles from Mississippi State. That dude, he's definitely a brother of mine.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we gotta go back. We talk about you're wearing the Buffalo, you represent the Buffalo Bills, and we talk a lot about the Buffalo Bills. Might as well go back and go back to the archives and see what we can find.
Let's see what you got.
So let's see what we got here. I think we have ourselves a block punt here, Gabe.
Oh no, not that one. That play right there changed my whole life right there. The whole
Boom! There it goes, number
That's crazy.
99,
That's crazy.
out of nowhere.
Look at that speed.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're going to showcase that speed.
Don't spike it. You better keep that ball because you may never do that ever again.
It's like on the road against Philadelphia
Yeah, man,
there.
that was rookie year. Look
You're,
at my boy D White, man, Mark Pike, Mark
yeah,
Levy.
More Levy. What was it like being coached by More Levy?
Imagine going from hell to heaven.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
sorry, from Donardo to
Right. Right.
Louisiana.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. There we go.
So look, so we used to practice blocking punts like every week.
Mm-hmm.
I never blocked the punt in practice because I was scared it's going to kick me in the
Yeah.
balls.
Yeah. Well, everything works out for a reason, right
Man, I'm
there.
telling you, coach, he's like, look, Gabe, they got a left-footed kick. You might be able to get one, and I got it.
So that was one player we want to showcase, and we got two more. So let's see what we got coming up next. This is against Danny Marino.
Now let me get that.
I
Watch the speed,
know. I saw. I was like,
dude.
wow, Gabe had some
It's
some
no way
speed.
Fat Boy's gonna catch
Right.
me. No way. Like I can tell you this. Besides the Michigan State fumble return, I
Mhm.
never tried to run as fast as that moment right there.
You were hauling. I mean,
Hey
nobody always
man,
want to catch you.
I didn't like that guy, Jimmy Johnson.
Yep.
It was a Buffalo Miami rivalry.
Hmm.
That dude's coaching now, Chris Dixon. He's coaching high school up there in Buffalo. Good dude.
Yeah.
John Howcheck with the sack.
There we
Let me
go.
get that. I don't fall on fumbles. I'm trying to score the ball.
You said that earlier about Harold Perkins. You gotta go. You gotta score, and you gotta be that guy on
You got
defense.
to get the ball,
You
man.
gotta get the ball and make a play with it.
Man, let me get that and get it as
Look
close to.
at
Let me get as
that.
close. Let me get as close to the goal line with this ball as I can, or let me put this thing in there because I don't know what's going to happen. John Howcheck, let me
Oh, there you
get
go.
that. Ah, did they calculate that as a broken tackle?
Yeah,
I got a
yeah.
broken
You got a
tackle.
broken tackle in the open field. What can you say about that?
Yards after contact.
Some yak. Some yak.
I'm full of that yak right now.
So I'm sure those tight end days back at Glen Oaks helped you a little bit with
Man,
that.
hey, those tight end days changed my life as well.
Hmm.
Because I was mostly a defensive guy at Southern Lab, and I was known for not being able to catch.
Hmm.
And Coach Brian Insminger, brother of Steve Insminger, believed in me.
Hmm.
Changed my life because everybody, like all my boys, remember I told you all my boys was on the
Hmm.
team already, from Bandits and Warriors and some from the Cobras, but from the neighborhood.
Right.
I was known for dropping balls.
Hmm.
That might be why I created those.
We're
But
gonna talk about that
but
too.
the coach, he gave me the simple down and out route. Eric Randall threw it to me, ball hit me right in the hands.
Hmm.
And I caught it. And the crowd went nuts. They was like,
Hmm.
oh, Gabe caught it, he caught it.
He caught
He caught it, he
it.
caught it. And
Was
then
Stickum allowed then, or
no, actually, I didn't even have gloves on
okay?
because my brother and I were in the process of transfer from Southern Lab, and we just went over to like see what it was like. Me, my
Hmm.
brother, and my dad went to go see what it's like, meet the coaches and such. And Coach Brian Isminger said, "Son, you look like my next tight end." And I was like, "Nah, Coach, I can't catch." And he's like, "Well, I believe you're gonna catch." And that's what happened.
Wow.
So he's like, let me see it again. Same thing, down and out. I
Hmm.
caught it. So that was like on Monday or Tuesday of that first week going into the Jamboree.
Hmm.
Friday night lights. We had the Jamboree playing up at Zachary. And Zachary was known for blowing Glen Oaks out in the Jamboree.
Hmm.
But we get into the game and they put me in and I run it down and out. I outrun the cornerback. The safety comes down. I jump over him and I run for about 70 yards. My first catch ever in a high school ball game. It really in life.
Hmm.
And it was a touchdown.
That must have felt pretty good.
Because that man believed in me.
Hmm.
And, that's just advice to coaches out there, man. Look, believe in your kids. Figure out a way to motivate these kids to do something that they normally do. That's the key to this thing because nobody wants to get hit in the face. Nobody wants to get punched in the mouth. Nobody want to run 2 miles just to run 10 yards. But that's what you got to do. We got to motivate these kids to learn that this is what's going to help them become better men down the line if you can persevere, push through. Like these kids these days, man, they're real sensitive.
Hmm.
And you got to show them love first, man.
Yeah.
Because you look at what goes on in football. There's dudes out there several times a year almost dying.
Hmm.
If you want these kids to put their life on the line, their head on the line, their neck on the line, hey man, you as a coach, you better at least be able to pretend that you care about these kids.
Hmm.
If they have one inkling that you don't, they will
That's
shut it
it.
down. And it's our duty as men, as grown men, to pick them up.
Excellent. Well said. And like those players have to run through a brick wall for
You have to.
you. Hmm.
Like it's like especially in my days, like where they had wedge busters.
Hmm.
Like if I'm gonna bust this wedge, man, like I'm bringing everybody with me.
Hmm.
And if I got it, if I got that feeling that my coach don't have my back or that my coach don't love me, that's gonna cause hesitation.
Hmm.
And if there's any morsel of hesitation, you kind of lose it.
Hmm.
And I'll say this for myself: Donaldo created that where that thought where man, if I do good, it's gonna
Hmm.
make him look good,
Hmm.
and I know that affected my play.
Hmm.
So, I just coach, look, you got to love your boys, man.
Yeah.
If you don't, figure out a way, and if you can't, or they don't give you a chance, or they're just that unruly, then get them away. They shouldn't be around the players that you do love
Hmm.
because you got to keep team first. You want to please every player. You can't.
Hmm.
I've seen this like yesterday.
Hmm. It's hard. I mean, you can't please everybody, and that's just a matter of fact. But the coach, if you're the head coach, you just manage it the best to you. I mean, as you can manage the situation because at the end of the day, I know you can't please everybody. For playing time, things when you have a whole team, football's a hard sport to really do that.
Got to be the hardest sport. And it's so many, with 11 people on the field at one time. You got to get boys to work together. You got to get boys to communicate. You got to get boys to do all kinds of things that translate to a better life once you're done with your ball. And the more we can teach that, and the earlier we can teach that, the better ball we're gonna have. The better ball we have, the better young men we're gonna have, and then they'll grow up, and then they'll be able to do the same and pass along some of those lessons to the younger generation of football.
Well, Brian Kelly said in his press conference today, and I was thinking about this while you were talking about that, Gabe, and he said that it's hard to be elite. You gotta have to put everything into it. You have to do the extra stuff, not just on the field, but off the field. You have to put extra work into it just to be elite. Everybody wants to be elite, but it takes extra in order to do that.
I explain that to guys all the time. What are you going to do extra? Because every team has a strength coach. So if every team's working out and they got their workouts that they're doing, do you know what the greatest people do after the workout? A little bit more.
Yep.
Back in the day, we used to call that laying yap,
Yep.
just to
Yep.
get a little something extra.
Hmm.
But like, if you got something left in the tank, then get it out of there because you're about to go home and rest. With the meal plans that you have, with the weight plans you have, you'll be okay. You go home, you get some rest. Put the phone down at 9 o'clock. Get your sleep. When you get up that next morning, you make sure you hydrate. You eat your breakfast, and you do all that stuff. It's not just X and O. It's a whole
Hmm.
lot of other stuff that people may not factor in when it comes to doing a little bit something extra. Some extra might be not drinking beer this week.
Hmm. Yeah.
Some extra might be, I'm gonna make sure that my lights turn off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's something that players can control that can help them be a little bit better. That's the type of things that I try to do. One of the reasons why I'm not really into coaching right now is because as a coach, sometimes you got to be forceful.
Hmm.
I'm more of a yoga guy now.
Yeah.
I like to kind of give suggestions and give people options and let people modify. That don't work too well
Hmm.
in football
Yeah.
unless you're a team's yoga coach. but like only two teams in the nation have those.
Yeah.
So man, but I will say this though: after I got yoga in my life, I became a better football coach because I learned it
Hmm.
myself. And then I was able to communicate better with my players. Man.
Yeah, that was cool. We got to see that last year.
Ah,
Teaching those kids
yeah,
yoga. That was fun to
yeah,
watch. So
yeah.
going back and watching that. Now, Gabe, I got one more for you. I got one more clip I forgot to show you.
Uh-oh.
So we got pick six right here.
Uh-oh.
Look at that. Oh boy, with the long strides and
Hey
everything.
man, that's probably 5 yards and 2 steps
Yeah,
every
I'm about
rep.
to say.
I
Oh,
mean,
oh,
I'm shaking them up. Oh no, I'm picking them up and putting them down at a rapid pace.
oh, oh.
Oh man.
Mocking the drop. That was that is as good of a celebration
Uh,
I've ever seen,
oh, that's
Gabe.
that bow. That's that bow from the water. Bow, bow, bow. Look at I got the bull. Look at the bull ring, the red chin strap,
Oh,
man. I'm having fun. Is that my boy Rayon Hill right there? That's Rayon Hill right there in the house. That's my dude right
there's
there.
Bruce Smith.
That's Rayon Hill, bro. Straight out of LSU. What's up, dog?
This is good stuff.
Bruce in the house. What's up,
Bruce,
Bruce?
there we
I
go.
hope I ain't leave him up. I hope I
Uh huh.
ain't leave him hanging.
Yeah, that's great to see. I tell you, if I
Look,
see number 99, I don't
it
want to
looked like
buck.
I'm always tired after a touchdown.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of running right there.
Look at me getting wide off the
Uh,
hash. Oh, get off the hash, 99. Oh, it's Bird Dog Greer. That's my boy right there too. Bird Dog.
that celebration has been impromptu right there, or
Oh
just
man,
like you thought about that,
I
or
don't
like,
even know, man. Look at John Havlicek get me in the game again.
oh
I
yeah,
need to
yeah, get it
I
a
need to
shout
call that dude. I
out.
probably owe him some cheese.
He's got you all your
Man, he
touchdowns.
got me too.
Yeah, yeah. Besides the block punt, yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh,
It's good to get that flashback,
oh
huh?
man, that's good stuff, man. You got my 3 touchdowns. I used to tease Emos because my rookie year, after I blocked that punt,
hmm
I had more touchdowns than him. And I'm like, bro, like I should have been first round instead of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, hey, I got my team 7. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So.
Now that dude, let me just say something about Emos, man. After that rookie year, he didn't have like an outstanding rookie year. And I left, I came home, but when I moved, I came back to Buffalo, I wanted to find a house. He
hmm
let me stay at his house while I
hmm
was looking for a home.
Yeah.
But when I got back, I'm like, man, what you been doing? He learned how to work out from Andre Reed. And he changed his whole body from college body to pro body.
hmm
And man, his career, man, just took off.
So you're with the Bills from
Mm-hmm.
'96 to '99,
Yeah,
and you finished your career with the Vikings, right?
yeah.
In 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So what was just you just kind of knew? I mean, as far as the end of your career, like when it was time to hang it up. Just when was like the light bulb came on for you?
It really didn't come on until I started coaching.
hmm
Right after I got cut by Minnesota, well, not right after, a little bit later in the year, uh, they had a coaching shakeup at Grambling, and I got into coaching.
hmm
That's kind of like I realized how much football I had to learn once I was out of the game. And I was fresh out the league, and I was a rah rah guy, but I learned from Marv Lee, I learned from Wade Phillips, I learned from Ted Cottrell,
hmm
and those dudes taught me how to a little bit how to be a better defensive mind.
Those some great defensive minds
So
right there too.
once I got so now, let me put this out there. If there's any college programs out there looking for a defensive coordinator, like I'm not going to coach under somebody who I'm smarter than, but just know that I have a doctorate in defensive preparation because I learned from Wade Phillips and Ted Cottrell.
Yeah, those are some pretty good big
And
names to learn
just
from.
if you want to know my major points of my interview, we're gonna bring the heat most of the time. We're gonna put hands on receivers most of the time, and we're gonna have fun.
hmm
I got like if you play on my defense, everybody's gonna have a chance to get a sack or an interception
hmm
because we're gonna be very well prepared. And the way I run my defense, I don't make the call.
hmm
My Mike Backer makes the call
hmm
because he knows all of those boys better than I do. He should be able to talk to those boys in a different voice than what I can. My Mike Backer, my nose, and my safety, they're gonna be running things.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. I'm not into all this twirling of the hands and pumping things up and all these signals and all. Man, what are you doing?
Hey, at the end of the day, it's man on man.
Man, look,
I
the
mean,
more you make these dudes think, the slower they're gonna go.
that's a good point
Matter
you
of fact,
bring up.
Brian Kelly, if you watch,
Yeah, that's what, I was going to bring that up to you kept
like
saying that.
don't bring me in because I'm not really much of a motivational speaker too much because I cuss too much once I start motivating. But if I'm gonna get out of retirement, man, look, call me, man. I'll fit in.
Hey,
Hey, I'll try to fit in under the salary cap, but I'm looking for David Randall type cheese.
yeah. That was a good point you brought about there with LSU with the defense, right? And when you're thinking too much, you react slower. You're not. I mean, you're just it's not just react, right?
Yeah.
And when you're thinking too much. So a guy like Harold Perkins, I know they moved him around early in the year. You can tell that he was probably thinking. You think he was like thinking too much when you're doing a different position a lot of times instead of just reading and just
Mm,
go ball, see ball, go get ball.
it's hard for me to say, but
Mm-hmm.
I do know this for sure. Playing defensive end is a lot easier than playing
Mm-hmm.
linebacker because
Mm-hmm.
you're either going this way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker, you got to think,
Yeah.
and it's no telling what the movement of his position did to the mindset of the defense. Maybe those defensive backs back there need less time covering.
Mm-hmm.
They had less time covering, had less time to cover when he was rushing the pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I'm sure Coach has something in his mind that says Harold Perkins is better at this position for the team right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Right.
Now,
Yeah. I mean, it's
that's their decision, of course, but you never know. Maybe next year they move him back out. Maybe he needs to get a little bit stronger.
mm-hmm.
I can't say that, but I do know that there's a lot more thinking involved when you're
Mm-hmm.
off the line.
Yeah. And that was pretty clear early on in the Florida State game. I'm not sure you actually saw that game or not, but you can tell he was thinking maybe like doing some more in coverage, have more of a role in coverage, and
Yeah.
just rushing the quarterback. And it's easier when you go and you just be an athlete. You just instead of just I gotta do this, I gotta be at this spot, and just thinking a lot.
I
Sometimes kind
tell
of
you,
takes you away from your
I tell you,
athleticism.
I've had my mental health issues. I've been in the hospital. I've been in the and all that, and I was on all the medicines and all that, all the pills and stuff. And one thing that helps me not have those headaches and those certain battles is I reduce my thinking.
Hmm.
I try to do what's natural, what's real, and what's good. And once you eliminate the thought process, you just do good things. It makes life a little. It's made my life much smoother.
Hmm.
So if you equate that to what goes on the field, not thinking, like not thinking is good. Go and chase after that ball and that ball carrier. That's easy and it's fun,
Hmm.
and that's the thing. You know, when you having that much fun in Tiger Stadium and you rocking the crowd and all that, that makes you want to do that much more.
Hmm.
And for me, I made plays at Mike Backer. I made
Hmm.
plays, but it was easier for me to do so. And maybe why what happened to me in my professional career is like I had to think a little bit.
Hmm.
And as smart as I was, it's like there was just certain things that in a way I chose not to do.
Hmm.
Like if had I studied more, had I worked on my craft a little bit more, I could have been a better linebacker. But I was more a hand in the dirt type of guy.
Hmm. Right. Right. And when you have all these athletes too, I mean, just everybody's good, right? So, uh, your advantages of just being an athlete that gives you it gives you more advantage when you don't have to think
Exactly.
and just go out and just play. So that's definitely something to think about. You talked about your coaching career. I know you mentioned that you're at Grambling. You
Yeah.
also were at Prairie View
Yeah.
as well.
Hmm.
So what was that like? Just coaching a position group that you played and that you were pretty accustomed to, and just giving back and sharing some of the details, like you mentioned, with some of the defensive coaches you learned from in the NFL.
So coaching at Grambling was another major stepping stone for me. I knew Doug Williams growing up. He used to look out for me
Hmm.
a little bit, come see about me, just drop me a little nugget every now and then
Hmm.
to make me focus a little bit better. Um, my brother had coached there. My brother coached with Doug at Morehouse and went to Grambling. So he calls me up and I dove in. I had a great group of guys, man. I had a bunch of defensive ends and some defensive tackles. They got after me. I'm talking about wow. And they were athletic, they were strong, and they were ferocious
Mhm.
in the championship game. And if you think about Minnesota back then, there's the Moss, Culpepper, Carter,
Sure.
Jake Reed days.
Hmm.
Not so much defense.
Hmm.
We're known for not having a good
Hmm.
defense. Matter of fact, our coach, he would say in pregame speech, guys, we can just try to hold them this week, and let offense outscore them.
Like,
Then, wait, what? Wait, what did you say, coach?
that doesn't compute.
So I go from there. Hey, look, we about to get with these fools. We about to peel some caps. We about to knock some hats off.
Hmm.
And we win a championship
Yeah.
at Graham.
Hmm. Different
Hey,
mindset.
whole different.
Whole different
And
mindset.
then there's a whole different. There definitely was a whole different mindset between Grambling and Prairie View. Prairie View was a great experience, but you had to learn how to do a lot
Hmm.
with less.
Yeah.
Like when you go to Grambling for fall camp, the president's there at practice on the first practice,
Hmm.
saying, "Look here, I'm all about this championship. Let's get that. I love you, young man. Let's."
History says, I mean, speaks for itself.
I didn't even see the president at Prairie View until I was about to get fired, and that was 3 years in. Actually, it
Hmm.
was 4 years because I left for 1 year.
Hmm.
And it's like, man, the priority is different. No disrespect to Prairie View, it's a high level institution of higher learning.
Hmm.
And kudos to them for that. But you're right there in Texas. You're not that far from Houston. You're on the outskirts of Houston. You're not in the middle of Houston like Texas Southern is.
Hmm.
So if you can get those boys from out of Houston to come to the outskirts and show them that country life, let them embrace that and treat them well, feed them well, help them out, you can win there.
Hmm.
My brother won the championship there as a defense coordinator. Coach Bubba McDowell's there, man. Look, another good dude.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers him from his Houston all the days. Great dude, great man, Christian brother, and man, I hope he gets a chance to win the championship because he's that good of a guy.
Yeah, and they've been winning in the SWAC, and they've been a pretty good program over there. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
they got some good stuff going on. They redid the facilities. Whoa, when I was there, we had the worst facilities in the SWAC,
Hmm.
and it showed. It was tough to win there. I think my brother did a noble job under circumstances. We had this thing called ATP or APT or something like that, where you lose scholarships and you lose practice time because of something with grades.
Hmm.
And the regime before my brother, it happened on the day I watched, but it affected our season. So you got less practice time, you got less film time, and you got to go win this game.
Yeah.
So we ended up, like I said, we ended up everybody got fired and all that. And it was just it was a big time life change
Hmm.
because when you buy a house somewhere, you expect to live in it for a while.
Hmm.
And if you coaching at Prairie View, you're probably better off getting an apartment.
Yeah, it's pretty tough in the college and pro, because you never know. You might have to firing. You might have to go somewhere else and move somewhere else. It's a tough lifestyle
Yeah.
to live like that. It really is. But Gabe, I mean, just wrapping it up, wrapping the show up. But we're going to talk obviously about the footballs too, because
Yeah.
they actually were at a Gridiron Football All American Bowl game. These are
Yeah.
the footballs
Yeah.
right here that we use.
Yeah.
And tell me more about these footballs,
So
and what makes them different than just your
all right,
normal
so
regular football.
so this one right here is actually one of the ones that was at the All Star game.
Okay.
This is one of the balls at the All
Hmm.
Star game. You notice the tips a little bit beat up a little bit and
Hmm.
so forth. Balls, little bit. It's been played with.
Hmm.
This one is one of my new prototypes,
Okay.
and I'm working with a company called Big Game out of
Hmm.
Dallas, and my guy at Big Game is a former LSU equipment manager, Mike Bonio.
Okay.
And so he saw what I did with this, and he made it a little bit better than
Hmm.
what I had made it. And he came up with some kind of special polymer and some kind of stamping system to make the ball to make the tip sturdy.
Hmm.
So what you have here, this is what I call the crossball plus,
Okay.
and it's I first of all decided to design a game that's a mix between football, lacrosse, rugby, soccer.
Hmm.
So the ball goes all over the place, no penalty, just like in those other sports, almost like foosball, almost.
Okay.
It can go anywhere. So because of that, you want to have better passers, you want to have better receivers. And if you're on defense, you want people that can intercept passes.
Hmm.
So what happens with this ball is you see the rotation, you see the spin
Because of
because
yep.
of the plus sign on each
Yeah.
of the
Right.
base.
Right.
You see the spin. So if it's coming out of my hand and I'm a passer, I can gauge my fingers, the angle of my fingers, my pinky, my thumb. I can change my wrist angle to reduce wobble.
Hmm.
All right, that's from a quarterback. From the receiving standpoint or from the intercepting standpoint, you focus on that tip
Hmm. Right.
and you look that tip in. Here's what I really need though. I need to take this thing to sports science
Hmm.
because of course I can see it. This thing looks like a heat-seeking missile when the right person throws it, and that thing is spinning. But I need to get it on sports science or some
Hmm.
kind of engineering test to see exactly how much easier, how much better you can see this over a NFL ball with no lines or a
Right.
college high school ball with half lines.
And that's what I see sticks out the most because for receivers, like you said, DBs, receivers, they can see where the
Mm-hmm.
ball is spinning.
So if you remember in that All Star game, there was a guy on the other team had 3
Yeah, there were, I
interceptions,
think there were 5 interceptions, I think, in that
and
football
so
game.
so one team was playing with a regular ball,
Hmm.
and the other team was playing with
Yep.
this ball,
Uh-huh.
and somehow it's like those dudes could see this ball better,
Hmm. Yeah.
and uh, and that. But like I said, that was this ball. This one
Hmm.
is way better, and here's what I'm hoping. I'm in the patent. I got the patent going. Got trademark stuff that I'm working on. I got copyright stuff that I'm working on. And way down the line, man, I see this thing in lower level football games. I see this thing as a training ball all over the world. And man, eventually, you know what? Flag football is coming to the Olympics.
That's right.
This ball looks kind of has an international look.
It does.
I mean, that thing's spinning, and you
Hmm.
got girls playing ball. You want better girl passers,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of guys out there that might be watching that have daughters who are cheerleaders.
Hmm.
Wouldn't you rather go watch your girl play football than
Yeah.
throwing some, throwing
Right.
some girls in there?
Right.
Come on, daddy.
Yep.
You want baby girl to be able to throw that tight spiral out in the yard on
Hmm.
Thanksgiving?
Because you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it how it looks. I
And
mean, it looks
then
pretty.
and then for more mature audiences that may have optical issues,
Hmm.
you can see this thing coming at you and you can
Hmm.
snag it. And just imagine baby girl or baby boy learning how to moss that thing
Hmm.
because they can see it a little bit better.
They can see the ball like just on TV. They
Like
can see it like with the viewing
I'm
experience.
I'm guessing that, like, let's say you can see a regular ball from 30 feet away. You're gonna be able to see this thing coming at you from 50 or more.
Hmm.
Is what I'm guessing. I'm not a scientist,
Hmm.
not an engineer. But I know a little bit about this thing.
Hmm.
So that's the key to victory, man. And people can get these from Big Game, from Mike Bonio, Boniol, Mike
Okay,
Bonio. You might remember his brother Chris Bonio keeps for the
that's
Cowboys,
right. Yep.
but he's an LSU equipment manager. And man, I tell you what, he didn't have to do this.
Hmm.
He did not have to try to make this thing better. He could have just smacked it on, put it all together, and left it looking like that.
Yeah.
And but because he's a Jeff Boss disciple,
Hmm.
this dude, he went the extra mile and made this thing better. And I got to feel it's going to be all over the world. I've taken these balls down to Panama, to Belize, and I've taught people how to play football on the beach.
Yeah.
And another big thing about this ball, man, why I call it the crossball plus, is because of it's of course because it's a mix between football, lacrosse,
Hmm.
soccer, rugby. it's a cross of all those
Sure,
sports.
sure.
But man, for me myself and what I've been through, I had to turn to Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
And this logo eventually will change. This logo will eventually be a cross with a
Yep.
plus sign in it. So wherever these balls are sold, it don't have to have my name on it,
Hmm.
but people will know that it's a direct derivative and descendant of the Most
Yep.
High, of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And hopefully, more kids will be able to achieve that thrill that you get when you play good ball, when you make that catch, or when you make that play, because of this thing right here.
Yeah. It's a big part of it. What's the saying goes of faith, family, football. So
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly.
Is it three F's?
I might put football ahead of family though.
Yeah.
Sometimes, just sometimes,
Sometimes,
depending on
sometimes.
time of year.
Yep, right, right. You're definitely right about that. And we're excited that we're going to have these footballs again for when we have a Gridiron Football All
Yeah,
American Bowl game at
yeah.
the end of the year. You were a part of that whole experience, and you got to live it with us in Orange Beach last year. So, what was basically what were your thoughts on that whole experience last year?
Man, it exceeded my expectations
Mm-hmm.
because you, I tell you, when I first got there for the sign up,
Mm-hmm.
I drove in. I drove from Texas, and I got in there kind of early,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like,
I think the first person you
yeah.
saw was probably me.
So I saw you, and you remember I sat down at the table over there
Yeah.
and just
Uh
kind
huh.
of waited.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I noticed, man, was none of those kids came in there with their pants sagged. I was like, man, all these kids good.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing I noticed, and
Mm-hmm.
then that led to a great practice week. You got a whole bunch
Mm-hmm.
of good kids, and then not only that, but a lot of those kids, like about a third of those kids, of course they had to have the belief or some kind of knowledge, but they turned their lives over to Christ at that function.
Mm-hmm.
So we had good practices, a good game. I hate that my team lost, but man, it was
It was a
just
great
it
game.
was just all around good game. And all the parents that came, they had a great time. All the parents were so happy that their
Mm-hmm.
kids got the opportunity to play in that game. It was just a great experience.
Yeah, it really was. Got the chance to call the game. It
Yeah,
was really, really fun. One of the best games I ever called.
yeah.
Every game I had to call, it was definitely up there. And we're excited to announce, if you haven't got the announcement already, that the Gridiron Football American Bowl games actually will be back in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's going to be the last weekend of the year, December 27th through 30th. And guess what? Former Baton Rouge guy like yourself, bringing it back to the Red Stick here at Memorial Stadium is going to be, and so far we got some commits. We're going to post it on our website momentarily. But Gabe, you thought the talent last year was really good. Talent this year maybe even better.
I think so. I got a call. I got a few calls from some friends of mine. I put out actually it was a fake post that I'm starting my own recruiting service. I'm
Hmm.
not starting a recruiting service, but if you need to, and you got a good kid, I'll see what I can do. So I put it out there because I saw this big kid
Hmm.
that's not getting the offers that I think he deserves.
Right, right.
He's a good kid. He's a good athlete. I know his daddy.
Hmm.
His daddy. Oh man, I mean, just he's just family.
Right, right.
And I mean, he's 6'4", 205.
Hmm.
Reminds me of myself.
Yeah.
That's about the size. When I saw him, I'm like, bro, you about my size when I was coming out, but a little bit taller.
Hmm.
And so that's one guy. Then another guy, he played ball. My brother at Southern, he saw my post and he was like,
Yeah.
"Hey man, look, I want you to check out my son." And I just clicked on the picture. I'm like,
Yeah.
he's an animal.
Oh, he's a beast. He's a beast.
I mean, this dude looked like me, like right now.
Uh-huh.
6'5", wait, 6'5", 265.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
he's
come on, man, bro, like we got. I'm just speaking selfishly for
right,
me.
right.
Like I know I brought two in. I got two
those
ballers
are
in this
those are
thing.
two ballers that Gabe
And
brought into
and
the
if
game.
y'all done what y'all did last year,
Mm.
I know what to expect now. I didn't know what to expect
Hmm.
last year. I mean,
Right.
it's an All Star game. It's not in Louisiana. It's in Alabama.
This was my first year really running the event with Andy, so this was my first experience too, and that
Yeah,
they exceeded my expectations
that was
last year.
good, man. It was just a good experience. I mean, just from the kids to the parents, the services. I mean, it ran very smooth,
Yeah, it
and
was really fun.
I'm not used to seeing that.
It was a really fun event. I'm so excited. It's really the highlight of my year. Is the bowl game, and I'm really excited to have Gabe be a part of it. We had the 7-on-7. That was pretty fun. We did that, and we're going to have these footballs at the bowl game as well. And one more time, Gabe, before we wrap up, where should they contact if there's a team or there's a league that's interested in using these footballs?
Big Game Sports.
Big Game
Big Game
Sports.
Sports out of Farmers Branch, Texas, a little bit north of Dallas.
Okay.
Mike Bonio is the contact.
Gotcha. Mike Bonio's the
Yeah, Mike
contact.
Bonio.
Is there an email or a number? Or?
Well, I should probably have all that,
Mhm.
but I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not really even counting this thing as a business yet.
Hmm.
I'm just. I know that this is a good football, and I'm trying to get into some good hands that
Hmm.
can basically help me prove my theory.
Right.
That's what it is. I'm like kind of like Pythagoras right
Right. But we get the website one more time. That way they can go to the website. Go on top.
You know what? If they want to, they can just go through y'all.
There we go. Contact me.
Call please.
Call me. And I'll even put my email and number and all that at the end. So contact me if you're interested, and I can definitely hook y'all up with,
Man,
with
look,
Gabe.
especially if you have like a junior quarterback.
Hmm.
If you have a quarterback who's a junior, you might want to get him some of these.
Yeah.
Because here's what's going to happen. Not only is he going to get it, his receivers are going to get it,
Hmm.
and it's going to build camaraderie. It's going to help them out. They if they use this thing during their off season, you'll quickly notice better play. And if these guys in high school can get on the same page, you got your guy and you got your receiver son in the slot. He got a hand signal. He's ready. He's ready to play a little bit more because of his practice reps, his repetition, his muscle memory.
Yeah. I mean, these footballs, I've been playing around with it. I feel like I'm an
You
all
been
pro.
playing with my balls?
Yeah, okay, okay. So maybe I have to censor the show a little bit, but play with the football. There we
I'm
go. Gotta
gonna
put
tell
the
you
foot in
something
front of
before y'all. Hey, look, it's tough, man, being in the football business when
it.
there's so many good balls
Yeah,
jokes
yeah, I know.
for
I know.
dudes. Like, come on, man. Like, so
A
coming
commercial, there's going to be a commercial somewhere about
coming in here, I'm like, look, I'll be in there in a sec. As soon as I grab my balls,
it.
like this is the only this is the only gig I could get where I could maybe get away with it. So look here, man. Look, just don't cancel me. I'm just
Yeah,
getting
parents,
started.
this may be like the PG-13
I'm just
portion
getting started.
of the
Don't
show.
cancel me for playing with my balls.
That was actually able to come. So like it was coming no matter what. So but I can guarantee you that these footballs are a really good game. I really appreciate you coming
Hey man,
aboard.
thanks for
It was
having me.
really fun. We got to talk a lot about it. LSU in Florida is actually this Saturday. Coming off an Alabama loss. What do you think about the LSU Tigers this Saturday?
Hey man, let's get with them.
Hmm.
Let's get with them. I mean, hey, this game right here, based on how the season's going,
Hmm.
could be the difference between millions of dollars
Hmm.
in your bowl game.
Right?
And if you
10 wins is still on the table.
like think about that, hey man, look, let's go get these last few wins and
Hmm.
let's go party in Florida or somewhere. Let's go party in Texas or something.
Right.
But most importantly, man, look, let's go kick some ass.
Hmm.
Let's go get
Yeah.
this victory, man. Because we don't play that at home, especially with no
Hmm.
Gators.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm expecting LSU to bounce back for sure. But Gabe, appreciate you coming on. LSU legend Gabe Northern. I really appreciate Gabe taking time to be with me today, and we'll see y'all next time on the Chase with Jace, and we'll talk more about what the LSU Tigers are doing on the Chase with Jace. Go Tigers! See the LSU Tigers beat the 40 Gators next week.
Amen.